I'm Andrew Edwards, and you're watching Gear Live. Apple's Magic Keyboard for the iPad Pro offers several improvements that allow you to use the flagship tablet in several new ways, but there are a few things about it that might leave you scratching your head. In this episode, I bring you the ways that I think Apple can improve on the next version of the iPad Pro Magic Keyboard. What's going on, Tech Squad? Andrew Edwards here, and in this episode, as I mentioned, we are taking a look at the new iPad Pro Magic Keyboard. Now, I recently released a video looking at my favorite features, and I'll leave a link to that video below in case you want to see it. Now, full disclosure, Apple sent over the 12.9-inch version, and I bought this 11-inch version myself as I wanted to try it with both iPad Pro sizes to see if the experience was different enough to mention when comparing the two. I have links to both models down in the description below in case you're interested. Now let's jump right in. I've been using the new iPad Pro Magic Keyboard for a couple of weeks now, and I have a few improvements on my list, along with some explanations as to why Apple might have done things the way that they did. So let's get started with the inability to use the iPad Pro in portrait orientation when connected to the Magic Keyboard. Compared to the Smart Keyboard Folio, the Magic Keyboard is a lot more sturdy and offers a vastly superior typing experience. But as a result of being optimized for typing in landscape orientation, you can't just pick up the iPad and flip the keyboard around back to use it in portrait orientation instead. Now, I've seen several people commenting on this saying they wish it worked the same way. Now, on the flip side, when you consider everything, you realize that this works for the Smart Keyboard Folio because of how thin it is. Flipping the much thicker Magic Keyboard around, at least in its current form, would make for a subpar experience. So instead, Apple did the next best thing. Since they use magnets as the only mechanism for attaching the iPad Pro to the Magic Keyboard, that means that anytime you want to use it in portrait orientation, you can just grab the iPad and pull it away from the keyboard without having to exert much force at all. Any other keyboard accessory I've seen for the iPad Pro would require much more to remove the accessory. When you're ready to use it with the keyboard again, just attach it right back to the base and the magnets go to work for you and you're in business. Next up, let's talk about polyurethane casing material that Apple uses for the Magic Keyboard, as well as for the older Smart Keyboard Folio. I wasn't a fan of this material on the Smart Keyboard Folio, and I'm still not a fan of it on the Magic Keyboard. On the flip side, I think Apple's leather cases and covers are fantastic, and I wish they still had them for the iPad Pro like they do for the iPhone. The Magic Keyboard with a leather finish would be phenomenal. Instead, this dark gray rubbery-ish finish picks up smudges easily, and I'm not even sure, can you see some of those in the light? Maybe, yes, you can see some of those here. It just doesn't have the look or feel of a stylish or premium product, but for the $299 starting price point, I feel like it should. Over time, you're also gonna start getting some wearing and some creases in the material, which I just think shouldn't be something you should deal with for a product at this price. Next up, let's address what may be the primary complaint that I've seen online and on social networks about the Magic Keyboard: the lack of function keys. And I get it. When I first started using the Magic Keyboard, the experience felt so Mac-like that I started thinking about things as if I was sitting at a Mac. When I needed to change the brightness or volume, where were my easy access function keys? Then it occurred to me, this isn't a Mac, and that isn't the way that Apple is going to treat the iPad. I believe that on a philosophical level, Apple feels that the iPad shouldn't need function keys. The Mac is stuck with them for historical reasons, and even there, Apple has replaced them with the Touch Bar on its latest laptop line, which are its best-selling computers. No Apple-made iPad keyboard has had function keys. Also, it would be hard to see the function keys, even if they were there, as the iPad itself would be covering them up based on how it sits. That said, when I need quick access to controls, I just quickly shoot the cursor to the top right corner to hit Control Center. Not as fast as a dedicated function row, but it works. Next, let's talk about the USB-C port that's on the Magic Keyboard. At first glance, several people thought that this would basically serve as a second full-service port in addition to the one that's built in to the iPad Pro. However, this is only used for charging the iPad Pro, and even then, it isn't going to be charging it at that high of a rate. I suggest charging the iPad Pro directly if you're running low on power, but otherwise what the Magic Keyboard offers is an extra charging port that you can use to keep the iPad topped up, or if you want to keep power flowing while you have an external hard drive, camera, or other accessory plugged into the iPad Pro itself. I'm sure we would have all loved to see a fully operational port on the Magic Keyboard, but we also have to remember that this is using the smart connector on the back of the iPad Pro, which isn't meant for pushing intense amounts of data through. Last up, let's talk about something that likely can and will be improved over time, and that's keyboard shortcut functionality. Now, what am I talking about? For example, if you're watching a video or playing music, hitting the space bar will work for play pause, but only if you're playing it in full screen. When looking at the iPad Pro and the Magic Keyboard as a singular package, I'd love to see more keyboard shortcuts made available across the board. This is where iPad OS comes in. We're likely 4 to 5 months away from the release of iOS 14, and we'll be getting a preview of everything that it will bring to the iPad at the virtual WWDC happening in June. I'm excited to see what Apple brings to the table for iPad now that it has its own dedicated version of iOS. I imagine that Apple has several things up its sleeve that will make the entire iPad ecosystem even better going forward. So I wouldn't think of the release of the Magic Keyboard as the final statement of Apple's iPad Pro vision, but rather the start of a whole new conversation. Now, if you want to hear even more of our thoughts on the new iPad Pro and Magic Keyboard, be sure to check out our podcast, Geared Up. Geared Up is a show I do each and every week with John Rettinger, where we bring you the latest in tech, gadgets, and games, along with a weekly special guest from the tech world. Just search for Geared Up, 2 words, not one, in your favorite podcast app, and you will find us there. Big thank you to everyone for watching this video. I appreciate your support as always. I'm Andrew Edwards, and I will catch you in the next video.